Hey there guys, welcome to Cyberpunk 2077. So we got the first hotfix yesterday, which apparently fixes most of the performance issues, some of the glitches of the many glitches, and apparently it runs a lot better, so that's what we're gonna check out today. I didn't even dare to try Quad HD before, because I felt like it wouldn't run at all because it was already struggling with Full HD. But it turns out that it's not too bad. I mean, it's not 60, but it's close. It usually sits near 60. Sometimes it actually goes a little above 60, but most of the time you're going to be looking at 59, 58, which is fully playable. And I do think it might be worth it for the extra, for the increased visual experience, because it looks so much better. So let's just give a setting rundown, just make sure that we are not forgetting anything. So film grain. I cannot turn that off. Oh, I can turn that off. Okay, that looks better. I should have. Okay, time to just silence my phone first, because we don't want noises sort of disrupting the gameplay. So here we go. Film grain is off now. The chromatic aberration, which is horrible. Everything else is maxed out, as you can tell. Quality, DLSS, which seems to be the sweet spot for 1080p. We can reach like 80 FPS most of the time. 75-ish during cutscenes, but that's about it. Video-wise, we're looking at uncapped, no VSync, Quad HD, that's about it. So, in the game now, you're looking at 48 FPS. I can tell that we lost about 5 FPS with the recording, which then again, Shadowplay doesn't usually hit performance, but that's when the GPU is not maxed out. If you have headroom, it's not gonna change your frame rate. Like if your graphics card is operating at 80%, you lock that, like let's say 60 hertz, and your GPU has that like a little bit of headroom, then you can definitely record without any performance loss. But when the GPU is maxed out at 99%, you're going to be looking at quite a drop. So we're losing about 6 frames because Cyberpunk's just, it's really making my card cry at the moment, which is understandable. I mean, it's a very graphically demanding game. It's beautiful. It's just look at it. Look at the lighting. Look at everything. It's nice. It's really nice. People say it looks bad, but that's because of the aberration, the chromatic aberration thing that it can turn off. And once you turn off, it becomes an entirely new game. I don't even know why that's a default option in Cyberpunk, honestly, because it just breaks it for me entirely. It just ruins the game. Like visually, it could have been so much better, and then they just to get the film grain in, the chromatic aberration, it just looks so like more like a movie than anything else, and we don't want that. We want a game that looks like real life, that resembles real life for that extra immersion, But yeah, so we're just taking a stroll around. As you can see, pretty busy out here. Peak hours, like 7 a.m. people go into work, I assume. Walk into work, that's pretty nice. I mean, either way, let's just head back to the car, which... oh, it's a lovely one, isn't it? I love this car. I mean, just look at the reflections. And that's with ray tracing off, by the way. We're not using ray tracing at the moment, and it looks amazing nonetheless. It's the magic of Quad HD. Just look at it. It's great. Brilliant. Either way, let's head in. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Just look at that. How it just reflects the light very well. So without recording, we would be looking at 55, 56, which is far from ideal, but it's fully playable. Like I mentioned before in the Full HD video, it does feel like Red Dead Redemption. Like the controls, they sort of adapt to low frame rates. It doesn't feel dumb. Maybe when you're like fighting, perhaps it could feel a little weird, but for driving around the city, which is when you're going to be looking at frame drops usually, because when you're not like driving around, when you're in a closed environment, which is where most of the game actually happens, you know, you're gonna be looking at fights into apartments, buildings and stuff. So closed environments run very well in Cyberpunk despite everything. I mean, there are certain environments where there's a bunch of light sources, mainly with ray tracing though. You're gonna be looking at your frames going all over the place, but you know, usually they're like dark environments with almost no light whatsoever, so you're gonna be looking at 60 FPS, maybe more than 60, because there's a lot of headroom. Like for driving around the city, I would say 40 FPS is survivable. It's not ideal, it's far from ideal, but it doesn't feel like, you know, it doesn't feel weird at all, because it doesn't feel choppy, you know. That's the point. Because usually when you get like low frame rate, it usually comes together bundled with choppiness, which doesn't really happen here. And look at the reflections. God damn, even without ray tracing, it's just so convincing. I love it. I was saying before, like when I made my 1080p video, I haven't even tried Quad HD yet. And now that I'm trying it and actually witnessing the graphical difference with my own eyes, I gotta say this game looks so much better. Quad HD, it's insane. I mean, I think that's rather obvious. I mean, it's a much higher resolution, but once you look at it yourself, it's just insane. It's night and day. The city just, wow. Because, you know, deep learning super sampling looks kind of dull in 1080p. I think it shines a Quad HD and 4K mainly, of course, which is the target. I mean, that's mainly the reason why DLSS is a thing. It's because people want 4K gaming, and 4K gaming is, you know, unachievable sometimes with current hardware, and then DLSS comes into play and makes it possible. And even in Quad HD, it does shine a lot. It doesn't look dumb at all. I mean, just look at it. It sort of, you know, the dullness just goes away. It gives place to something very alive. Like the game looks, wow. Like Keanu Reeves would say, breathtaking. It truly is. Just look at it. I'm impressed, and the fact that it's running well-ish. I mean, of course, it's not like the most amazing thing ever. It's not even 60, but that's fully playable. Totally playable. And we're gonna consider that my card is slightly, ever so slightly underclocked because summer and high temperatures. So I'm trying to, you know, not run through any issues. I don't want my card like burning hot, so I sort of underclocked it just a tiny bit, just a wee bit. So we're looking at maybe an 8 FPS margin, error margin, I mean, compared to an actual 2070. But there's a lot of factors that come into action. There's the RAM as well, so I'm running 3200 megahertz RAM, Trident Z, and CPU, which is a 3700X. So, you know, mileage may vary, but that's about it. And as we steer further and further from the RGB zone, like the part city with all the screens and shiny spots and stuff and RGB road bumps, we look at higher frames. So we're getting 50 now. So that would be about 58 perhaps without recording. Because, you know, those ultra settings put a lot of strain on a card. And you can tell it's somewhat dealing pretty decently with that. I'm recording and shit, so it's pretty impressive nonetheless. So we keep driving around. Spoiler-free benchmark. As much as I'm like almost 80% done with like the main storyline, I'm almost done. I got to a point of no return already, which I didn't go through because I wanna do all the side missions first, because I'm not sure if I can make them after, or I don't know what happens, you know. What if my character dies or something? I don't know. You know, you never know for sure. So I'm gonna like finish all the side missions beforehand and then advance through the story. But yeah, so far I'm very impressed with Cyberpunk. It's not what people thought it would be, for sure. It's not the supreme masterpiece that people imagine, but it's not a bad game by any means. It's actually quite fun, and I'm really enjoying it. Ooh, first massive frame drop now. Oh, what the hell? Is that supposed to be there? What the hell is that? Yo. Okay, that's a bug, I assume. Look at that. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. So I just found my first major issue in Cyberpunk. Like, honestly, that's the first time ever that I witnessed a bug with my bare eyes. It's the first time. I mean, an actual like scenery rendering bug. I've never seen anything like that before. I mean, I've seen things like the game bosses just freezing, being very easy to kill, which I actually find pretty good. That was a fantastic thing, because I got stuck in a mission that was very hard for me. I'm playing on hard settings, and bear in mind I'm a casual. I'm like a horrible player generally. I lack the skill, you know. I'm just not good with shooters and stuff, even though I play them a lot. I mean, I have thousands of hours with CSGO and stuff, but I straight up suck. I'm pretty bad. And I was struggling so much with a mission, and then after like trying 20 times, the character just, not my character, the boss just froze, so that I could easily kill it. So I thank CDPR for that, otherwise I would be stuck there until now, probably, because it was really hard, to the point I was considering like downloading a trainer. She got like unlimited life, and perhaps then advance through the story, because yeah, that it was that bad. And then it's like the game just listened to my desperate claims and froze the character so that I could kill it easily. What the hell is that? So as you can see, that's the RTX 5090 from 2077. It can handle 16K 60 FPS with DLSS off. It's a very nice graphics card, as you can tell. It's got just a dual fun solution, but NVIDIA swears to God it's like the most advanced graphics card ever made, and it's a mix of air conditioner with an actual graphics card, so you're gonna be looking at very low temperatures, even though, you know, the card is pulling a lot of voltage and stuff. It should be hot, but it's not. Like, NVIDIA just nailed it. As you can see, it's a little big. It's a little bigger than, you know, I mean, with it's a growing trend. Like since 2020, when the 3090 came out, it was a little big. People thought, oh, can it get bigger? Yes, it can. And there you go. It's the 5090 for you. Either way, yeah, as you can see, the frames are still pretty stable. It didn't dip below 40 so far, which is okay. I mean, if you're playing with a controller, that's good enough. If you're playing mouse and keyboard, perhaps it's a little, you know. Then again, as mentioned before, with for driving, it's fair enough. For combat, probably not. So, are we there yet for Quad HD? Is the 2070 enough? Is it enough for Quad HD? Ultra? I mean, you can definitely play Quad HD with a few compromises. Like, oh my god, no. No, what trouble? No. Sorry, no. What trouble? I'm just recording a benchmark. I'm a good boy. I mean nothing here. Let's head off. Yeah, that's better. Let's head out. Look at the reflections. Oh god, that's brilliant. Okay, so back to what I was saying. I don't think it's still time to go Quad HD Ultra. No, it's not time for that yet. I do think over time with updates it's gonna get better, because it's already gotten substantially better from like the first update, day one update to the 1.04 or whatever that was. I've seen such a jump in performance, not like max frame rate, but stability overall, because it would drop randomly at times. It would forget DLSS is on and the frames would just tank. That was very annoying, and they apparently fixed that. I've never seen that happening after the update. But also, I've seen worse after the update though. Like if you drive too fast, the traffic's just gonna vanish, basically. So if you're driving on a highway and then speed up like a lot, the cars are just gonna vanish. Like you're not gonna see cars, you're not gonna see NPCs in the city because it won't load, and it will only load after you stop, and then they're gonna start spawning out of nowhere, which made me like run over people by mistake because they would suddenly just appear in front of me. Same with traffic, I would crash into cars because they would just spawn right in front of me without, you know, any reaction time or anything. Any time to react, more so. Which is a problem, but that's only if you speed up too much. If you drive slow, if you drive like an actual human being, that's fair enough. You're not gonna have any of that. The pop-in was fixed. The cars vanishing in the distance, like I mentioned before in the Full HD video, it was also apparently dealt with, which is a good thing. Kudos to that. So yeah, it's getting better. I mean, it's just a couple days since release. I mean, 3 days, what? About that, right? And it's gotten better. It's getting there. I can see Quad HD Ultra becoming somewhat playable in a couple like weeks time, perhaps a little bit more than that. I wouldn't say with ray tracing on though, because ray tracing is very demanding. It basically makes your 2070 become I don't know, 1650. Trying to play the game without ray tracing, I mean, same frame rate and 1080p stuff, it just tanks the frames way too much. And the difference not that much, you know. There is a difference, of course, because ray tracing is substantially better visually, but I wouldn't, it doesn't really, you know, it's not a fair trade. I mean, you're giving up like half of your performance for just like 20% more eye candy, in a sense, perhaps less than that, 15%, let's say. I don't know, it doesn't seem fair, you know. It's not a good trade, definitely not. So yeah, I'm gonna sit with RTX off for the time being, and I'm enjoying it nonetheless. I mean, it still looks amazing. On or off, the game still looks brilliant, you know. And I've noticed that when playing Quad HD, it doesn't seem like the cars are rendering like Play-Doh anymore. Cause in 1080p, once traffic spawns, they usually look like a horrible mess. Like the textures don't render properly, so it looks like Play-Doh on wheels. And now it just doesn't happen anymore. So perhaps it's tied to the resolution or something. I'm not sure. Frame rate maybe, because I haven't seen any of that now. I mean, it's too early to tell. Yeah, apparently the fix for that is just make your card work harder. You know, just increase the res, just make it suffer a little bit more. Which seems odd, but then again, you know, when it comes to gaming and workarounds, it's usually very odd either way, you know. Sometimes it's just a dumb thing, like, oh, disable filter, and bah, fixes the issue, the game stops crashing, or, you know, it's usually the dumbest things. Like change the audio from 5.1 to normal stereo, bingo, the game stops like dying on you. You know, games are weird at times, but yeah. Performance rather solid, doesn't tank below 40, so I would consider that pretty playable. I mean, is it the ideal playability that you look for? No, it's not, but it's enjoyable enough, and the visual quality makes up for it. So you miss out on frames, you miss out on 60, but you gain that, the quality, the awesomeness of Night City in Quad HD ish, because deep learning, super sampling, so it's not really Quad HD, perhaps 1080p mixed, but you know, sometimes 1080p upscaled. But hey, just look at that, it's great. It's a living city, bunch of NPCs all over the place, good frames. Yeah, way to go, CDPR. I mean, still not quite there, but I'm getting there, getting there. It's just the first patch, like first actual patch other than day one. And they seem to be headed towards the right way, so that's a plus. I'm gonna end it around here because we've seen enough. We've driven around the city, which is the most demanding part of the game, of course. That's where people usually run their tests, because that's where it makes the card cry. And I think we've seen enough. It's been enough time to just come up with your own, you know, conclusions in regards to the average. Which, I mean, I haven't seen it dropping under 40 FPS. I mean, the lowest what I saw was 41. So that's good enough, I guess. So, yeah. Perhaps time to stop, call it a day. I'll be uploading more benchmarks later on. Perhaps even today, I'm not sure. Testing out different settings, ray tracing, who knows. I mean, it's gonna be very bad. I assume like 20 FPS tops with ray tracing on, but I want to see how it copes either way. So, oh my god, I want trouble. Speed up a little bit. I'm gonna park around here and call it a day for now. Hope you guys enjoyed it. There we go. So, get out. And yeah, that's about it. Oh no. Yeah. Bye-bye. See you guys later. Thanks for watching. And till next time.